It's 8 o'clock. We'll call to order the June 20th, 2024 meeting of the Economic Development Authority. I would be, morning Laura. I would be looking for a motion to approve today's agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? And you were all provided the minutes from the May 16th meeting. I would be looking for a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Reschedule August EDA meeting.
I can grab that one. The next meeting is scheduled for April 15th, or August 15th. I will be on vacation that week, and Jessica obviously won't be here. So I'm wondering if we can move that up a week to August 8th. We would need to post notice if we approve that, but I'll take care of it.
Anybody have an issue with that?
You said August 8th?
Yeah. Or we could do the 22nd. On the 22nd.
The 22nd doesn't work for me.
Okay, so sounds like the 8th works for me.
I'll be gone the 8th, but that's fine.
And there's no July meeting, just a reminder to everybody.
All right.
So we would need
I'd be looking for a motion to move the August EDA meeting to August 8th. Same time, same bat channel.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, on to some fun stuff. 2025 EDA budget discussion.
Chrissy, can you bring up the PowerPoint? Every June, I go through the budget for the group just to see where the money's going and what projects we'll be working on in the future. Just a quick review of all our programs. I always start with the memberships. Greater MSP and Greater St. Cloud Development are the two big ones. Last year, we did have a conversation about Greater MSP. They did come out, they did give a tour. They're very active now that we discussed possibly leaving. So I guess I would recommend we stay with those two organizations. And then CMRP is our river crossing group that Wright County and Sherburne County lead. And then we have other various organizations that we're a part of that equal a total of $50,000.
How come the CMRP one is so high?
Well, that's to get the new bridge across the river, so that's a membership fee where the counties pay the majority and then the cities and townships have a smaller chunk. So it's a pretty big project that we've been working on for about 10 years and we're slowly making progress. But a lot of that funding goes towards reports or studies that are needed for any type of project that size.
So the county's got $250,000 into this membership.
It hasn't always been 25,000.
Okay.
We've increased what the counties are participating in because we've reduced the costs of the local government entities. This is a really costly project to get a bridge. The studies alone, I don't know, Dan, if you
The
want.
Pell study was $1 million, so I mean, we are using that funding.
Yeah.
And then it's matching funds for grants too is what we use that money for, so
So
it helps
does
us
that,
save money.
does membership change every day, or not every day, every year, depending on?
Some townships have dropped off on the Wright County side, but other than that, it's been pretty stable. It's Becker, Big Lake, and then Sherburne County on our side. Both townships and the cities.
Okay. So you see value in everything that's on this page.
Jessica's was very active in each of those organizations.
Still am, will be, yes. And I think the GSDC, the Greater St. Cloud Development Corp, ever since they had a change in leadership, they're a lot more present down in Sherburne County as well, too.
And I also want to point out that by achieving that river crossing, that will open up a lot more development opportunities, so.
Next up, we have our professional services. We do have an update on our Rural Ideas Network. That's for the business lab. It was $25,000 a year. We've seen a decrease in utilization. So I'd guesstimated it would go down to 15,000, it's actually down to 6, so was just updated this week. This slide deck was put together about 2 weeks ago. So it went from 25,000 down to 6.
And that's based on usage?
They changed their model structure when we threatened to back out. And so they called back and said we can lower it to $6,000. So that's a pretty big savings for us. And then 25,000 for consultant studies, marketing, like we're doing the housing study right now. That comes out of this fund. When we did a broadband study, it came out of this fund. So it's kind of a as-needed fund. And then if we don't use it, it carries over into another year where we can use it for other projects. And you'll see the balance that we have when we go through here. And then I just put some other examples of studies that we've done over the past few years. Tax abatements, we do have 11 active abatements. You can see the range. We do have a fairly large one that has not meeting their goals, and they have until the end of the year to meet those. They're at about 2/3 of where they should be, so we'll have to have a talk with the county board. Right now, according to the agreement, it's all or nothing. Do we want to meet them halfway and give them 2/3 of the abatement based on the goals that they've met? So that could be a big savings on that one, depending on what direction the county board gives me. And then you can see over the next 5 years that there will be, a lot will be falling off the budget, especially in 28 and 29. Personnel costs, like I said, this was done 2 weeks ago. You can see what is covered by the levy. We had been using ARPA to transition Jessica's position onto the levy. So in 2025, it was supposed to be 100% levy funded. And then my salary will actually be reduced a little bit because of solid waste fund. We have a big project coming up in solid waste, so a portion of my salary will be covered by solid waste. And then here's some of our other expenses that are built into the budget, kind of miscellaneous. We do work with the Initiative Foundation, $6,700 a year. We get 10 times the value in that. You'll see every year we get grants from the Initiative Foundation, so that has a ton of value. And then some of the education type and conferences. And then we do a few publicity and promotional events. Jessica was at a lot of job fairs. So we hand out little trinkets so that all comes out of this fund. And as I mentioned before, when we don't use funds, it gets carried over. Our current balance is $195,000 of that carryover. So if we ever go above that $25,000 that's budgeted, we can pull out of this fund. And you can see some of the uses we've done with that money as well. So our total budget for economic development has actually decreased over the last couple of years. And this is outside of personnel, but you can see it's been going down. A lot of that has to do with abatements or other projects, but the Rural Ideas Network was the big one this year that it's dropped, so it'll be even lower than this because I had 15,000 in for Rural Ideas, so it'll be right around 100,000. And then discussion items, we already talked about the GSDC and greater MSP. Do we still feel there's value there? And I think there is. The Housing Trust Fund will be a big project in 2024, 2025. We're waiting for the housing study to complete. Once that's done, we'll have to put goals that match the housing study, and then we'll be able to start giving out money in 2025 through that.
Jessica, can you remind me the anticipated timeline on the housing study? Was it the end of August they thought the first preliminaries would be done?
September, October, yeah. I'll cover a little bit more of that in my EDA update too.
They said they're about 20-25% done right now.
Yep.
And then future projects, we haven't done a broadband study for about 5 years. Is that something we want to do? We're still working to federal EDD designation. And then we had planned to increase our marketing. That's really something we haven't got involved in to market the county. So that's something we'll talk about and kind of matches up with our strategic plan too. That's one of the things we really haven't touched yet in the strategic plan. So that's what I had for budget. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Dan. So then we're on to a EDA update.
Yeah, I'm like blazing through this agenda. But hopefully we can get some good discussion here. I just wanted to put together a year-to-date economic development update, and I have this update broken out into the sections that are in the strategic plan. So for business retention and expansion visits, so far this year we've done 19. I do have another one scheduled for next week in Elk River. And I also did do one childcare provider, business retention and expansion visit. That was an excellent visit. So I'm really hoping that, that is something that the EDA can continue to facilitate and do moving forward. The provider that I met with is in the business for just over 20 years and just had a lot of experience and has seen the various rules change over the years. She's very positive. I didn't get there was some concerns about the draft legislation that came out, but not to the degree that I have felt elsewhere. So, and I don't know if that's just her 20-plus years of experience coming through there, but it was a fantastic visit.
Jessica, was it in-home or a center?
In-home. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. So also, I put this under business retention and expansion, and I'm not quite sure why, but the city of Becker, as you guys know, had applied for the JTF fund grant. And through that grant, we've done a couple things. They had $150,000 to do entrepreneurial development cohorts through ILT Academy. We've been continuously actively marketing and recruiting participants into that program. They don't do the application process through the city or the county. They go to the ILT studios. So I actually don't know if we've had people apply from Sherburne County. I haven't heard one way or the other. But I know that just in talking myself, I've had quite a few people who've been pretty interested in taking our information and things like that. But the second part of that is there was also $100,000 for technical assistance that could be used. And so the big idea or the big picture with this project was that that the city of Becker would then be positioned to apply for a federal grant, and that's the Economic Adjustments Assistance Grant, and they wanted to use that grant to build a business incubator in the city of Becker or surrounding area, or just in Sherburne County in general. So we're using that $100,000 to hire a consultant to conduct a market analysis and feasibility study for that business incubator, and that was a required component of the federal grant application. So with that, we did help with that RFP, and that, and then they had 9 applicants to that RFP or submissions to that RFP, and myself and Stacy Heck, who is works in risk management in Sherburne County, but she's been kind of coming alongside me through this transition process. We went to Becker and we reviewed those 9 submissions and ultimately selected 3 to interview virtually. And they did select Northspan as their consulting agency to conduct that market analysis and feasibility study, and that work has just begun. So that's pretty exciting. The other part of that is we're going to need community partners to get something like that going. And so, and in talking to our federal EDA representative, Darren Fleener, he had suggested reaching out to, of course, your businesses, community partners, and then also any healthcare systems, higher education, entities like that. And so I was able to get in front of the president of St. Cloud State and St. Cloud Tech and Community College and St. John and St. Ben's University, and just kind of gave them like a speed version of what our big idea was. St. Cloud Tech and Community College reached back out to me and want us to come up and present our big idea to them, and being thought partners, possibly, this is what I'm hoping to get from them for sure, being thought partners, possibly even maybe provide some curriculum, some training, we don't really know, but to just start building that relationship and planting that seed. And so on July 23rd, Nicole, and I was gonna also be a part of that, but I'm now gonna serve in the capacity to help get that presentation put together. But Nicole and the Northspan consultant, likely, and possibly Stacy from here too, will be going to meet with the St. Cloud Tech and Community College leadership team to talk about our big idea and begin that conversation. So that's a really exciting step in the right direction to get them at the table. So they have the president of the college and then all their deans for the different colleges, like the College of, I don't even know, management, nursing, you know, all the deans and the director of nursing. So I think it's a group of about 8 to 10 of their executive leadership team. So it's the right people in the room, so we're pretty excited about that. Any questions on that portion?
What's, and I apologize for my ignorance on this earlier.
This is a test of the Algo voice paging and emergency notification system. Algo speakers support wideband G722 HD voice for improved intelligibility and clarity of announcements. Volume can be set individually by speaker, or ambient noise compensation can be enabled, allowing the speaker's microphone to control volume dynamically.
That's it.
Thanks, Chrissy.
So what is the end game here? I mean, are you guys looking for a brick and mortar facility somewhere
Yep.
to facilitate training classes or?
Yep. So the feasibility study and market analysis will really help guide the specific type of programming that would be most beneficial to our region through that incubator facility. But in our mind, we're thinking business startups, and an incubator is really kind of hand-holding, so it is staffed by professionals that can help get a business from point A to point B. It could be light manufacturing area, it could be really any kind of startup. But part of that too is, you know, to lean into like St. Cloud Tech and Community College, and if they are interested in being a partner, what skills can they bring to the incubator facility and help let that guide the programming that comes out of there as well. So, but yeah, it would be to get a physical building. That grant is a one-to-one match. So if we were to able to match either through community partnerships or in kind, the federal EDA will match whatever we can put into a business incubator.
In this brick and mortar incubator, would it be, I'm assuming we would want it to be from possibly Becker down?
Yep.
I mean, not necessarily in St. Cloud, out of the community college?
Correct.
My concern would be, it would be then drawing into St. Cloud instead of.
No, but the idea for us is, you know, we've got higher ed in St. Cloud and we've got higher ed in Ramsey. We kind of want something here in the middle, and so that is the area that the consultant will be looking at. All right, workforce. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the work that we've been doing in workforce. I talked about the ILT Academy, and we've also, and I think I mentioned this before, but we have gone to and presented at all the high schools in the district, their DECA classes and entrepreneurial classes, and also met with and talked to at every chamber in the county. So we've been pretty actively recruiting for that. I was also at the farmer's market this last week with our stuff for that, and I did have someone take a flyer, so that was exciting, and talk to me about it for a while. I didn't know at the farmer's market, but there's a lot of entrepreneurs there. The next thing that we're working on is the Tiger Path Connections Committee. So that's through the Princeton High School and the Princeton Chamber. And what they're doing is we're planning a career crawl day, and for a week, well, it's a day, but it's in November. And their staff has that week of Thanksgiving off, and well, not their staff, the students have the week of Thanksgiving off. Their staff are still working. And so they facilitate a career crawl, and they asked us to be a site for that. And so I brought in Jacob Macy, who's talent acquisition and HR, and he and I have this day planned where there will be a bus of teachers that come to the government center, and they're gonna explore different career paths here in jail, court administration, the legal department, and HHS. And the whole goal there is to really inform the teachers the career paths and skill sets and things that need to be taught to students to help pique their interest in careers that we offer here and to be able to guide them on the right path to go for careers like this. And that's just one step that these teachers are doing. They're going to several different businesses in the Princeton area as well. I think they're going to like Crystal Cabinets, some of their larger manufacturing, to help be able to, equip them to then turn around and teach their students about these careers that are local. So that'll be a good fun day. Jacob is going to be picking that up and running with that. But that was a fun thing that we worked on this last couple weeks. The SBDC, they've been coming here the second and fourth Thursday of the month offering business coaching. They've been really short-staffed for a couple different reasons, but so they're not going to be scheduled here the second and fourth Thursday, but are still available to meet any entrepreneur that would need consulting here on an as-needed basis. And then this is through the summer, and then this fall, they'll reconsider coming back once they can get their staff back to capacity again. But I did ask for an update on the impact of them being here. She said that since October of 23 within Sherburne County, they've served 36 different clients. One manufacturing company that the consultant worked with feverishly, I took that right out of her email, will be a turnaround, and so they were very thankful for that referral. That was a referral that I was able to make to them based off of a business retention and expansion visit that I conducted, and that is a huge success story. The SBDC, I also am planning a workshop with the SBDC, and they're going to be here on July 19th, and I seen this workshop come through, I have it on the back, through a different entity, and I thought we should have something like that here. I know we did the entrepreneur kind of resource event. This is kind of similar, but it's more guided, and it's only an hour and a half, and it has a program, so people will come right at 9:30, and they'll be here for an hour and a half. So this one is going to be...
This is a test of the Algo voice paging and emergency notification system. Algo speakers support wideband G722 HD voice for improved intelligibility and clarity of announcements. Volume can be set individually by speaker, or ambient noise compensation can be enabled, allowing the speaker's microphone to control volume dynamically based on background noise. Multicast can be configured in all Algo IP speakers to scale coverage over large rooms, buildings, or enterprises. Thank you for choosing Algo. For additional product information on our IP paging adapters, bell scheduler, strobe lights, and entrance intercom.
It's very reminiscent of being at the airport.
We're getting a new phone system and paging system so that they're testing it. So I apologize for that.
So this SBDC and Sherburne County resource event, it'll be 15 minutes. I'm going to prepare just a short little presentation on our revolving loan fund, our business lab, any other types of services that we would offer through the SBDC for businesses. And then Lorraine Ross, who's the executive director of the SBDC, is going to say her bit. And then there will be a consultant to talk about business lending from a banker's perspective. And then AI for small business will be the second portion of that. And I do have Stacy who's willing to fill in, and she and I are going to create this presentation, and she can present that. It's just a short little 10-minute-er, but hopefully that'll be a great event here in the SBDC being partners and trying to help market and recruit. Will be good for that. Any questions on workforce work? Nope. Okay. Housing. So the housing study, like we mentioned, is 25% complete, and they're on schedule and making good progress with that. And then we know the EDA is going to use that housing study to offer guidance for programs administered through the local housing trust fund. I'm assuming that will, like Dan said, be coming later this fall. So there's just more to come on that. Policy review and updates, a couple of things that's been being worked on in the background here. There's a group that's working on the housing, or the land transaction policy. The EDA bylaws were approved at this week's county commission meeting. The updates that were made to those, and then upcoming, that was on the docket, was to review the revolving loan fund policy, and that will likely probably happen this fall. Broadband update, did you want to talk about broadband update?
Sure, it's just a repeat of what's already been talked. We use a lot of our ARPA funding on broadband, so 2.7 million of ARPA led to an additional 5.2 million of private investment. And Laura, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
It's going really well. We're almost done with the last, over by County Road 8, we had a pond cabinet that needed to get installed and spliced. But yeah, they're going pretty good. Pretty good. Yes, we're excited to get connected.
Yeah, there was areas that were underserved and unserved, so it hit over 1,000, almost 1,200 people, the project. So, and it'll help for development because you really can't sell lots now without broadband. So.
No, it was pretty non-existent in some of those CenturyLink areas, unfortunately.
That's exciting. Childcare. So Becker is in kind of the phase 2 or maybe 3 of their rural childcare innovation program. We've had the childcare provider appreciation event and the town hall. And then from the feedback of those 2 events, we just all got together again as a core team and did a goal setting meeting. And then from there, they were broke out into committees that are going to be kind of the keepers of those goals and moving that work forward. And that was last week. So that I call it a project initiative is moving forward pretty strongly, and they're going to be identifying maybe different areas within the city of Becker that they could prepare for a child care provider to move into, so that when someone comes, that piece of legwork is done and hopefully minimize some costs and just different things that they're working on there. We also did start a Sherburne County Child Care Advisory Group. So there is one that kind of serves the St. Cloud area through the United Way, and I wanted to bring one here, so I did pull together a few people. I want to say we've got about probably 10 to 12. We've got the Initiative Foundation, the United Way, the Elk River Chamber, the Central United Way, the YMCA, HHS, the mayor of Otsego, Jessica Stockamp, but she's also a child care provider, the Milestones Wayfinder, well, maybe she's not the director, but she's who would serve a child care provider wanting to come to this area. Her name's Michaela. She's on the committee, First Children's Finance, and then the executive director of Creative Kids Academy, which is a center provider. So we got a pretty good group of people together that's talking about childcare in Sherburne County. And some goals that we set were to create a provider network, content for a monthly resource email, talk legislative initiatives are kind of a platform for our group in this region that we can communicate out, childcare business retention and expansion visits, and then how we can be creative in increasing staff capacity to the industry. So we met on June 29th. There were 12 in attendance. The meeting was an hour long. I had to stop the meeting at an hour and 15 minutes. And I don't think I hardly said anything. It was a very active, very talkative, lots going on in that industry. And to get all those people in a room, it was really awesome. So the next meeting is June 26th. And we have future agenda topics that I have listed here. Finding qualified staff that will stay, recruitment, retention, training, bottom line. And we have from our group people that are working on talking about these specific things in that meeting. So everyone kind of brings their own expertise. And this is another one that I would really like to say continue to be carried forward. And I do have Stacy again, who's just going to kind of keep this ball in the air until someone comes into my role. And so she's going to be in that June 26th meeting just to see how that meeting works, and then we'll have one in July as well. And I can always identify someone from the group that can kind of help facilitate that as well, because there's certainly enough of them. We also had just a small meeting with myself and Anna, the family child care licensor with Sherburne County, and Mitch. We talked about identifying the steps that it would take to get an in-home child care provider licensed in an accessory dwelling unit in Sherburne County. There's work to be done, but we've determined that it's something that could be accomplished. I don't know if you want to add any more to that.
Yeah, Anna sent over a list of what the state actually inspects for buildings, because I said, our biggest thing is safe for, children and childcare. So she sent over the list that when the state comes and inspects, they need this, 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 and this, and I forwarded it to our building official for him to have it on hand, so that if we can get this going, that those are things that he's specifically looking for on the building plans and inspecting, so that when the state comes and it's a smooth process, so that helped out.
Yeah. And then the last thing in childcare, the Minnesota Department of Human Services, with their draft childcare legislation, they had several listening sessions where providers, families, and employers could sign up and attend these listening sessions. They were a limited capacity, so the feedback that our county licensor was hearing, the initiative Child Care Solutions Program Officer, her name's Jessica Gilder, she was hearing, Milestones was hearing, is that there wasn't enough, and people didn't get to voice their concerns and felt like they were heard. And so we are partnering with the Initiative Foundation and hosting an additional listening session here at Sherburne County, and that will be on July 16th. I think it's from 6 to 8 or 5 to 8. I blocked off a pretty significant chunk of time. So that was just confirmed actually yesterday, and but we will be hosting that here. So I'm pretty proud that we are able to get that coordinated with DHS and the Initiative Foundation and be able to offer that to people in our region. Any questions on any of that? Okay. Federal Regional Economic Development District. Dan, you're kind of the lead on that?
Yeah, we did draft a JPA and bylaws that the Initiative Foundation is reviewing right now, and then they'll send it out to the other counties. So we should have a more firm update in August on that one. Right? It keeps moving, which is a good thing.
Transportation, the energy transition, so through the Energy Transition Office, the state of Minnesota ETO, they have a grant application that we could apply for to try to get funding to help offset the cost of the Tier 1, Tier 2 environmental studies for the CMRP group. And so I was a part of helping with that grant application and providing the economic development context to that application. So that was submitted, and hopefully we'll get some money from that. That would be a huge help.
Project. So this grant would pay half of it.
Yeah.
And then the CMRP group would come up with a way to fund the rest.
Who applied for the grant?
Sherburne County.
The county.
Yeah.
And then we also had a meeting, this is also for the CMRP group as well. I was in a virtual meeting, and the technical assistance to Brownfields group, it's called TAB, and it's out of Kansas State University. They were talking about programming that they offer, and never in a million years would I have thought that a Kansas State University program would be applicable to Minnesota, but it is. And more specifically, Sherburne County and Wright County, I should say portions of Sherburne County and portions of Wright County, coincidentally the areas that are being looked at by CMRP fall in the Department of Energy's eligible census tracts due to the region's coal-fired power plant and the nuclear power plant. So you fall within their census tract if there's a real or perceived concern that there could be brownfield type contamination. And so then you could be eligible to apply for their technical assistance and brownfield funding. And so we had a meeting between them, Public Works and Administration to identify those opportunities. And it does seem like there would be a potential for us to be able to go for some of those dollars to, again, help pay for some of these studies that are gonna be required as they look at transportation solutions between the two counties. The Zimmerman Communications Network, so that is a network that I pulled together to help communicate information about the transportation projects that are happening in Zimmerman. So there's a couple. There's a roundabout that will be going in off of County Road 4 and 46, which is like where the fire station is. And then there's gonna also be a road project with roundabouts that will be pretty much from there up until, through town on County Road 4. And then there's the 169 overpass interchange. And that one's separate from the county road ones. And the communications network that we pulled together was to really talk about messaging to the community and how to craft that and get that back out to everybody. And we've been meeting, it was like every other week, and then it turned into monthly. That project has kind of been pushed back, the timeline has. And so in the interim, that communication network will land with David Unze, who's the county communications specialist, and then David Riddell, who's the county engineer that's been overseeing the development of this project and the timeline. But the engagement with Zimmerman has been really positive and appreciated, and we're just excited to be able to do that, I guess. Marketing, there's been some website work. I know the county had a complete remake of their website, and as part of that, the economic development whole structure changed. We got a different, framework to what our website is. And so there was a pretty significant amount of laying that out, cleaning up information, making it more user-friendly, up-to-date, that David Unze and I worked on over, I would say, since probably last December. I think that's it. Anybody have any questions on that, any of that?
At the last meeting, we talked about the planning process. Todd brought up how lengthy ours was. Mark or Mitch, do you want to give us an update on where we're at with that?
Yeah, sure. We did some researching on other counties. One other county does it pretty much the same as ours, where the preliminary and final have to go to the planning commission. One thing I did see for a number of counties was that they bypassed the actual planning commission for the final plat. Still have to go back to township because state statute, townships have to approve plats. So that is one thing that we're gonna look further into is having, what do you wanna have a workshop or something?
Workshop with the board to make sure they're comfortable.
Yeah, see if the county board's comfortable with us moving forward in this process. So that could, that's a month that you could save, but, still have to get the township engineer. And this is obviously for standard plats. So you still have to get the township engineer comments, township comments, county surveyors has to review it, and so, obviously it's on a county road, but with the planning commission right now, they don't hold a public hearing for the final plat, so that is what we're gonna pursue, obviously with the workshop.
So the nice thing was Mitch did the research, and after looking at what all, like 10 different counties, do for this planning process, we found that there wasn't a set way of doing this, so we weren't governed by, like I said, state rules. So we did have some flexibility to change that procedure and that policy. The reason I think we were discussing about bringing it to a workshop, because there are other departments that are affected by this outside of planning and zoning. So the Public Works Department and the Surveying Department has a part on this. So does the County Attorney's Office and Auditor Treasurers also, as in their, so there's multiple departments. So if we're changing the procedure, we want to make sure that we're in alignment.
This is a test of the Algo voice paging and emergency notification system. Algo speakers support wideband G722 HD voice for improved intelligibility and
So just make sure we're in alignment with all the other departments, that we're not, if we propose or change, that we're not going to interfere or kind of cause a conflict in another department.
So is the idea then that what would happen is someone would come before the planning commission get a preliminary plat approval with a set of conditions, and then it would just go straight to the board for final approval with the assumption that they, or with the indication that they meet all the conditions that were set at the preliminary plat.
Correct, and if anything significantly changes, then obviously it has to go back to planning commission for an amendment to it. So yeah, assuming everything just is exactly as the preliminary plat was approved, then we'll just go right to county board for final.
It
And
would require an ordinance change, though, right?
it would require an ordinance amendment, and we just kind of played around with the proposed one that could work.
We have language that works, and it kind of just making sure procedurally that the county board's okay with it, and that we're not missing anything with the other departments.
Well, because right now the planning commission chair has to sign the plat, and according to the survey department, they just like, it's on there because it has to go back to planning commission right now, so that's a requirement for the Mylars that the planning commission chair has to sign it, so.
So the only difference is that, you know, planning and zoning would just present to the board that, yes, they met all these conditions from the primary plat, we just verifying that. Instead of having two groups verify it, you're just doing it once. I like it.
Yeah, and I mean, most of the time it is the planning staff overseeing and making sure that the conditions are met, that we have all the documents we need, the title work. You know, there's still, and this just resolves the, you know, approval through county board. You still have to go through the, you know, final plat check and, you know, all that stuff and the actual recording, but this would provide at least a, you know, a month reduction of time.
Yeah, that's probably the best that we can do, because even when it gets to the county surveyors, they're like, it could be 3 months before it gets, you know, title work and all that. There's a lot of hiccups, so.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Do you have any feedback on
No, I think that's good. It's anything that will help with, you know, moving it along. I still think there's still a few other things too that need to be addressed with it, but
Mhm.
you know, it's definitely a step in the right direction. I think we're being proactive because what we have coming up in the future is gonna be, you know, there's gonna be a lot of development happening in the next years to come, so we're probably moving forward more so than other areas in the state, I would guess.
Yeah, we can talk about those additional ones, but I mean, this is one that we just saw from all the other counties of what we could do to, you know, speed up the process. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge step.
Do you want to mention your other concern that you and I talked about yesterday? Now's as good a time as any. Where it is.
Like the outbuildings and that?
The house, when you buy it.
Oh, yes, so like a lot of times when we're developing, so if you're buying something out in the township or the county, and we've talked about this too, but you know, you'll have some bigger outbuildings. So right now, I think the ordinance is basically we have to take down those buildings to fit into that, to make sure the square footage works well. We're tearing down really good old buildings.
Yep.
That's, I just don't see I mean, one, they're taxable, so we're getting tax money off of them.
Yep.
And then we're filling a good building, you know, taking it down, putting that into a dump, you know. There's a lot of things I think that could be done with that part of it.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree.
You know, what is happening is we're trying to prevent the creation of making something non-conforming. Non-conforming basically means it just doesn't conform to current zoning regulations. So you have a 5,000 square foot building and you're gonna subdivide the property down to 2.5 acres. And the maximum size that we allow on 2.5 acres is 1,800 square feet. So that's what's happening. They're trying to avoid the non-conformity, but it is a waste of, you know, putting someone in a difficult position, having to tear down a perfectly fine building for a non-conformity clause. There are other ways that we could interpret this.
I feel like there's ways we could go about it. Yes, it's gonna be non-conforming, but if it were to be torn down or destroyed, then yeah, then you'd have to rebuild it too.
You'd have to comply with the non-conformity standards of state rules, but, which basically say the non-conformity laws. It's kind of the grandfather clause. You know, people say, oh, well, it's grandfathered in. Grandfather doesn't show up in state statute or in county regulations. It's a legal non-conforming structure, and that's what we would have to kind of sort out and resolve.
Yeah. Sometimes, like the one place that we just bought has like a machine shed, but it has a really cool old barn on it. Well, you're gonna have to make your choices of what you're gonna end up taking down, you know, and I think you lose some of the history in of the area when you start taking down like old barns and things like that, you know.
Yeah, there needs to be a little more consideration on this, I would agree.
Yeah, there's no reason to take down perfectly good buildings.
Right.
Good. I have one more thing that I would like to just put on the table. We went to, Andrew and I, ribbon cutting for Price Homes yesterday. And so they are the ones who bought the movie theater space at Elk River. And they're redeveloping that. And they kind of have 3 different things going on in there. On the north side of the building, so like if you remember ever walking into the movie theater, all the theaters that are to the left, those are all being developed into individual suites. And so, was it 17 or 18 suites they've got over there?
I think they've got 8. I think it was 4 per side.
4 per side?
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Well, maybe it was,
Maybe
that, maybe
or
that
maybe
was the
10.
total. Maybe that was a total. And
Yeah, I
then
think
there was,
or it could have been 10. I can't remember how many movie theaters. But basically, they've taken each movie theater and turned that into a bay.
Yeah.
And they're gonna turn those into a vanilla shell, for rental space.
yeah, they're between 2,500 and 3,500 square feet. Was it 18-foot ceilings? So they even said that they.
A little less than that though, once, because they have to raise the floor.
Yeah, I know we mentioned that there could even be an opportunity for like 2-story in each of those bays if they wanted to look at that. So just lots of opportunity for new businesses to move in there. And then the part that was basically the lobby and then the other half of the movie theaters, they're gonna make that all one space. It'll be about 30,000 square feet. And so they're looking for a pretty sizable anchor tenant to come into that space. And then the part that's on the southern side of the building, they're reserving for their corporate offices. So just as you're listening, you know, out in the community, if you hear of, you know, there's gonna be a big, nice 30,000 square foot space available, and then 8 to 10, 25 to 3,500 square foot bays that will be available there.
It's a good opportunity for a bunch of businesses to go in. And they're gonna do, since they're a builder, they're doing all the TIs themselves. So I don't know whether that works out better or worse for the tenants, but it just depends on it depends on how you negotiate it, I guess. But I mean, there's an opportunity for 10 new businesses to go in there, 10 to 12.
And they're redoing the exterior and everything in that building, so it's gonna look really nice.
Well, I saw something in the paper like axe throwing, or, you know, even like in Maple Grove, they have pints and paddle, like pickleball and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, that'd be.
Well, and that might be an opportunity for that big space, have like a bar that had, first of all, bars and axe throwing, I'm still confused with. But
Great combination.
But there is an opportunity. I mean, anything could go in that 30,000 square foot. That's I mean, you get a big restaurant could go in there. You get
Indoor
get
sporting
something.
facilities.
You can get some sort of sporting facility. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that go in there. And then those other bays are perfect for, you know, a variety of different types of either retail or B2B businesses.
I'm glad he's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good to see that there's still some investment in commercial real estate at this time.
Yep.
Anything else?
Can I add one thing, Ken? Of course. I'm waiting for you. This is obviously Jessica's last meeting. She's been in the position 2 years. When we created it, I had no idea if we'd have enough work for someone to keep it. I kind of fought the position for years, and Rayanne would back me up on that. You far exceeded every expectation I had, so I just thank you for all you've done. We always say someone will be missed when they leave, but you really will be missed. So
Aw, thank you.
for everything you've done.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I know I had no idea what I was getting into when I started this job. No. And to just like reflect on the last 2 years and all the things that we've done, and looking at this list, I'm really proud. So thank you. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you.
No, you've done a lot of work. Appreciate it.
Built a lot of great relationships too.
Yeah, it's been fun.
That being said, we do need to replace the executive director. So I guess we would need a motion to name someone to fill that role.
You wanna do that now?
Well, yeah, it's our last meeting, so we would need someone in place by the next meeting.
Okay, so I'd be looking for a motion to approve a replacement for the executive director of the EDA board. I guess you gotta stay.
What's the specific motion you're looking for? I'm confused.
Typically, it's a staff member that would be the executive director. So I did it prior to Jessica's arrival.
So we're sending it back to you. Do we do it on a temporary basis so that you can post and backfill?
You can change it at any time, but the position is posted already. We got it up on Thursday last week, so we hope to have someone in place by August at our next meeting, so it would be temporary.
So I'd do a motion to voluntold Dan. Executive director.
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, welcome to your new position, Dan. I think you've got your action steps here.
Yeah.
Let's see what you can do. All right, is there anything else? Great meeting. Is there anything else from the board since we have a few minutes? If not, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion made by Laura.
I'll second.
All in favor? All right, motion carries. Thanks, everybody.